Well, good morning everybody, welcome back to my channel, Fishing AT, and I'm back fishing on the north side of Sand Point on between Western Super Mare and Clevedon, and I'm fishing a little mark called Middle Hope Bay. I fished here before. One of my earlier videos was here before in August. Caught a couple of small conger eels. Thought I'd give it a go again, see if I might pick up a cod. It's about an hour or so, or hour and a half after high water, so the tide is on the ebb. I've just cast out a pulley pennel with rag and squid, and I've got a bite on my first cast, so that's a nice sign. Fishing quite high up on the rocks. It's a very big tide. It's almost a 12-metre tide on the Western Super Mare scale, and that's going to drop to about 1.5 metres. So there's a good 10.5 metres or more than 30 feet drop on the water, so I will be moving down quite a lot. But it's a lovely day. It's a southwesterly wind, southerly wind, so I'm in the shelter here because I've got the banks behind me, so I'm out of the wind, which is really nice. So I think that's the forecast for the day. Picking up later on, but hopefully I'll get the shelter. And the plan is to fish down to low. Haven't really seen this mark at low water, so it'll be interesting to see what that's like. And then start fishing back on the flood, and we'll see how far we go. I'm going to actually just pick this one up. I think there's something here. Yeah, there's something there. Hopefully it's not weed. Let's see what we've got. I got a size 1/0 pulley pennel, as I said, rag and squid. Bait was probably in the water 5 minutes. Feels just very, very heavy actually. Just no real fight on it. Hopefully it's not a dog. Which it is. Oh well. That's the blank beaten. Let's get him in here. Oh yeah, a fine Bristol Channel dogfish. Let's get him unhooked. Well, second cast, and I've just had another good bite. Good slackline bite. Ah, damn it, I missed it. Oh, that's annoying. That was a very good bite. Oh well, that's a good sign. Second cast. One dogfish, one bite. So that was on the same. Squid and ragworm. Just, I don't know whether you can see this mess. The dogfish always throw up a lot of mess when they're caught, but that's very soft crabs that he threw up. So obviously plenty of food there for them. Good. So bait wise, I've got a relatively short pulley pennel here, probably about 18 inches or so. Typically 3 ragworm, 3 king rag, and then I just tip it off with a bit of squid, and as I say, it's a size 1/0 pulley pennel. Like I said earlier on, it's about 10.5 meters fall on the tide today. You can see how much it's dropped in an hour. I'm having to move my stuff down now off this higher ledge down to the lower ledges, and then the tide has still got another 3 hours to go out. So I think at some point I'm going to either be on sand or mud, so that would be interesting to see. And I say, it's no real tide pull, which is good. In a little bit of a slack bit of water here, you can see the main body of water moving beyond there, but it's quite slack in here. So I've got a red breakaway lead, so that's what, the 170 I think grams, and that's holding no problem at the moment. So we'll see how that goes as the ebb and progresses. So baits today, got blow lug and ragworm. They were supplied by Real Fun Fishing, Portishead, and I've also got some squid and trying some mackerel. I've got a second rod out at the moment now. Things are quieting down a little bit, and I've got a sort of squid mackerel wrap on a 3/0 pulley pennel. That's the left hand rod, and we'll be fishing worm and squid on the right hand rod with a 1/0 pulley pennel. Sun's coming out. It's going to be a nice day, I think, as long as the wind keeps off. And tide is obviously ebbing strongly still, so I'll have a bit of walking to do and have to move positions again as the tide goes out. Well, the tide's still got about an hour 20 minutes to go out, and you can see now that the rocks have given way to relatively firmish mud. I'm not going too far on it because I don't really want to get stuck. A couple of leads found on the edge of this rock bank here. They've been in the water some time because the eyes have rusted away, but you can see the extent. If you can see my rods there, I've got an attentive crow. I think that's once the bait, and you can see my bag. You possibly might be able to see my bag on the top of the rocks there where I started off fishing. So the rocks are about 40-50 yards, I'd say, before it gives way to a muddy or firm mud base here. After that initial flurry of action, the dogfish on the first cast and the missed bite on the second cast, it's been quite quiet. No further bites, and baits are coming back untouched. I haven't fished a rotten bottom today because when I fished here before, I sort of had an idea what the ground was like in front of me, and I didn't lose any tackle, even with my sort of moderate sort of casting. But obviously something to think about on a big tide where you're going to be up on the rocks there. If you fish this mark, you've got quite a bit of rocks and weed to clear before you get onto relatively clean ground. Wind is still light, and lots of oyster catchers in the bay there in Middle Hope Bay, and we'll see how far this tide decides to go out. I'm gonna stay on the rocks when I'm casting. I'm not gonna venture out onto the mud. That would be a little bit unwise, I think, because I'm on my own. Anyway, a lovely mark and a lovely day. Just I parked in the National Trust car park at the base of Sand Point, and I've walked about 1.3 kilometers, about 22 minutes. You have to go up a number of steps. I think I posted that on another video. There's about 110 steps to climb up to the top of the mark or Sand Point bank the way I came up. So you just need to be prepared for that, and the on the way up, a bit of a sort of a lung buster. Yeah, and about a 20-minute walk, including that from the car park. Well, it's 1 o'clock. It's still 20-30 minutes before low water, and basically I've stopped fishing. I've run out of sea. Don't really want to wade onto or climb onto the walk out onto the mud, so I'm just going to stop until the tide turns and comes back in. You can see there's probably now, I don't know, 35 yards of soft mud in front of me, and as we pan round, I just walked up the coastline a little bit towards Clevedon. Probably not going to be able to see it there really, but there's a load of stakes and posts in the mud as such, and quite a few snags out on the mud itself. And pretty much the same for this mark on this sort of tide. You know, 11.8 metre tide on western scale. If you fish here, you just have to be prepared that you're going to get a lot of mud in front of you, unless you have a very large cast. I'm talking 100 yards plus, then you're not going to be able to get to the water and get any sort of depth on this sort of tide and this sort of time of the tide. I walked along the shoreline. I found another lead. I found a couple of traces, so I'll take those back and recover any good stuff on there. But I'm just going to wait now, and probably might wait an hour and a bit rather than move. I could move further down. The water is a little bit closer to the rocks there, but by the time I move, get set up and stuff, I think I might as well have just stayed here. So I'm going to have a bite to eat and wait till the tide comes in. See you all in a bit. Whilst I wait for the tide to come in, I just was going to try a very short sort of up and over rig to start with, casting out onto that mud. Just there may be a sole or a flatfish or something there possibly. You've got to try to see. So essentially I just have my Gemini clip there with the offset angle piece there, and then down I've got my breakaway lead on a genie clip, and then I have my swivel, and then I just have a short length of amnesia, 30-pound amnesia, to a size 2 Aberdeen hook there. And then basically when you clip it up, so you come up and over, and then you clip the hook into the, do that again, up and over, clip the hook into the breakaway lead there, and you have a relatively short clip down rig. Hopefully that when I load it up with ragworm, I might be able to catch something. We'll see. Hopefully be fishing again in about half an hour. Well, it's finally time to start fishing again. I stopped for a lot longer than I anticipated. It's gone 3 o'clock now, and just I don't think I'll bother trying to put those rag on a bait and needle. I'll just stick them straight on the hook. So just baiting up. I'm going to use this short up and over rig. That's my first rig out. Put a couple of big ragworm on. And we'll be nice to do something again. So yeah, the tide certainly took a long time to turn, but no doubt now it's going to absolutely charge in. Just going to put this on the head first. Sorry, tail first, so that the head is on the hook. Right mess. I'm probably going to stick another one on actually, just for good measure. Got plenty of bait because I haven't fished for two and a half hours. So I did walk up towards Clevedon a little bit on the mark, thinking that it could be better up there, but actually there's a lot of debris, a lot of posts and other wooden structures in the water, so I wouldn't thoroughly recommend going that way. If you've got a reasonable cast, you're going to be getting snagged up all the time. So anyway, here's the rig. Nice rag bait, very short up and over. Clip him clip him up. There we go, and we'll get that out now. Well, not wanting to embarrass myself by trying to put lug onto a bait needle, anyway, I've baited them up. They're much more compliant. Obviously, you need to make sure that you have good tension on your hook where the end clips in there, and then basically should be able just to slide the lug on. My knot isn't very good there, so that's puncturing them a little bit. Hopefully get 3 good lug on. There we go. And there's 3 lug on there, and hopefully well, we'll see if that gets us any fish. Not sure whether he's just taken off from Cardiff or he's heading into Bristol. Anyway, fishing again, both rods. So rag on a very short up and over on the left hand rod, and a lug and squid pulley on a size 1/0 pulley pennel on the right hand rod. So the tide is charging in now, so that's good, and fingers crossed that we get a few bites. It's clouding over a bit, hopefully the rain doesn't come, so wasn't forecast to rain, but we'll just keep an eye on that. And the wind is still well, virtually nothing. You can see some disturbance on the water, but it's blowing, I think it still must be blowing right over the top of us. Not sure if I got something here, but I've gone about. Oh, staying quite deep. I didn't have a bite or anything. Just a big chunk of weed. Well, they all count, I suppose. It's a tiny whiting. I just winded it in. I didn't see the bite. I thought I just had a bit of weed on my line because it was quite heavy, and then amongst it was a tiny pin whiting. So he's quite deeply hooked, unfortunately, so I'm not sure whether I'm going to be able to get him unhooked and back in, but we'll lovely sunset over the top of Sandpoint there. And you can see that there's a big freighter cargo ship coming in there up the channel now. The tide is pushing in. I've just moved back to the base of the rocks where I started off fishing this morning. So whiting caught on lug and squid pulley always gives a little bit of a motivation to keep going. It's 5:15. 2.5 hours I think to high water, so I'm probably going to fish to high and then call it a day. Got my COVID jab tomorrow, not sure which one that is, my 3rd, 4th or whatever, so yeah, probably have an easy day tomorrow in front of the telly making the video. Anyway, one last look at that sunset. Yeah, that tide's really pulling strong. Actually down tide, it's a bit of a weird current situation here at the moment. Really started pulling right to left when I would have expected it to have been pulling left to right with the tide pulling in. Glorious sunset. I think I picked up a big bit of weed here. Oh, gotta try and keep it coming. Oh, the snags. There we go. Wow, that's gone a really long way down tide. That sky, glorious. Well, the tide is still pulling really hard right to left. You can probably see hear my reel going. The tide is obviously coming in, and normally would be pulling left to right, but actually there's some sort of back current here that's pulling it right to left, so it's making it very difficult to fish. I've gone up to 210 grams of lead, and you can see it's absolutely hooped over. Quite tough fishing, so I'm probably going to call it a day. Well, the conditions got the better of me in the end. I packed up about 45 minutes ago, just before high water. The tidal rip in front of me, which was going in opposite direction to the actual tide coming in, was just too much, even for 210 grams of lead. It wasn't so much just the fact that the big hoop on the rod and the rod rest came over at one point. I was filming at the time, and cracked one of my rods, just not broken, just scuffed the paint and all that sort of stuff. So thanks for watching. It was a sort of a learning exercise today, really, fishing a big tide here at Middlehope Bay. Obviously lots of mud in front of me, so couldn't fish for 2 hours, and obviously then the tidal rip at high tide with the tide coming in. So a couple of fish, whiting and a dogfish, so not a blank. I'd like to thank everybody that's been watching the channel. I've gone past 200 subscribers, so thank you. So sorry I couldn't do more fish today. Quite tricky conditions, but I've learned a few lessons, and hopefully if you want to fish this mark, you might have found this video of use. So probably best to fish it on a medium tide, 10.5 metre tide, I would say. It would be okay, but obviously on the big spring tides, then obviously there's probably better and other marks that you could fish on the Bristol Channel. Thanks for watching. Take care everybody. Bye now.